Oh, hello. Oh, I don't know if you can see this new chair that I've got now. It's just relaxing. I could probably sit in this all day and do absolutely nothing. But anyways, let's get right to it. Some things have happened, MMA wise. The big story of the day and of the week, what it looks like to be, is that chael sonnen has tested positive for performance enhancing drugs. This was at a UFC 117 bout with Anderson Silva. I heard this at work and I thought this was just one of those rumors that you hear, Chinese whispers kind of thing. So I didn't want to comment on it till I had got further information. Anyways, I've looked online, the most reliable source for all information, and no, from all accounts, it's apparently true. The California State Athletic Commission tested Chelson and he came positive for performance enhancing drugs. This was a huge shock for me personally, a very big disappointment too. Chael had just given Anderson Silva one of the best fights I'd seen in a while. Considering that this is the pound for pound best fighter, Anderson Silva, that is, and that Chael was able to have a 5 round fight and do well on the feet, take him down at well and beat him up, and just really fall prey to a submission. And it was that performance that he gave that set up the rematch right away, because I believe they were scheduled to have a rematch in December, or I think it was March. Around that time frame, they were supposed to have a rematch. Uh, and that was all based on the fact that really the winner of that was supposed to fight Belfort, but because of Chael's performance, he sidestepped that or overstepped that and has gotten the rematch immediately. And it's so disappointing now to hear that from all accounts he tested positive for performance enhancing drugs. I wonder what you guys think. Do you think the UFC are going to give them uh, carry on with this fight or carry on with this rematch? From what I understand, when these kind of things happen, uh, fights like this usually get called off. We've seen this with Josh Barnett, and funnily enough, I couldn't help but be reminded of the Josh Barnett situations last year with Fedor and when he beat Couture and he failed a drug test. Anyways, I don't think they'll go with this fight now, so it means that Silva's going to be left looking for an opponent for March, possibly, unless more information comes out and it all seems to be a mishap, which kind of seems highly unlikely. Um, that means then I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the middleweight division. Silva will probably have to wait a while. Oh, sorry, this match was supposed to be in February. So it looks like Silva is going to have to wait a while for a new opponent. I'm assuming it may be Vitor Belfort after he fights, or maybe Nate Marquardt. Who knows what's going to happen there. As for Chael Sonnen, this is a huge setback because if the rest of the procedures go through, he may be out for a year or 6 months at least, depending on what kind of appeal he puts out. Um, so that's a real shame. That's a real disappointment. The other story I want to talk about is BJ Penn is going to definitely be fighting again, from all accounts. Again, I heard this um, from someone, and funnily enough, the person he's going to be fighting will be Matt Hughes. So it means that he will be fighting as a welterweight again, and this will be about 2 months from now in November, apparently. So it will be Matt Hughes versus BJ Penn, number three. This is going to be very interesting because BJ beat him the first time at a time when people said that BJ was really just not that in that great of shape. Um, they had their rematch. This is after all the problems with BJ Penn took place, where he left with the belt, and then all the legal things happened, and then Matt Hughes beat him, and then he went back down to 155 and did very well there. Then fought George and then lost, and then did quite well again at 155, and then eventually lost to Frankie Edgar. Now, it's very interesting because their careers have gone up and down since they last met. I've just talked about what happened with BJ Penn. Then on the other side, Matt Hughes, I believe he lost to George St. Pierre. Yes, he did. Sorry, in the second match. He lost to George again. He lost to Thiago Alves, got knocked out in that fight. He then beat Matt Serra and Renzo Gracie, and now Ricardo Almeida. And it looks like to me that Matt Hughes seems to have that confidence again, even though he may not be at the peak and at the prime of his powers as an MMA fighter. He still seems to have that confidence, and I personally believe deep down in Hughes' heart, he believes he could possibly go for the title. But then again, you never know. We'll see what happens after this fight. Who do I think's going to win? Think I think Matt Hughes might beat him again. BJ is obviously the better striker and is a very dangerous submission artist. But Hughes, I think it's going to be similar to the last fight. And I'm not sure what BJ's mental, his mindset's going to be after the two losses to Frankie Edgar and apparently all the infighting amongst his camp with the UFC management. So that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know how you guys will see it because really you guys know a lot more than what I know about this. So let me know what you think's going to happen. How do you see it's going to go? Um, the other story, and this is very late, so I'm sorry to talk about this now. Cro Cop will be fighting Frank Mir, from what I understand. Um, he will be replacing Nogueira. Nogueira was injured during camp, so they needed a new opponent. So Cro Cop, from all accounts, probably signed another contract with the UFC if he's taking this fight to fight Frank Mir. This will be an interesting fight to watch, as I always say. What could happen? I think Cro Cop is no longer the force that he was when he was in Pride. I think people have figured out how to beat Cro Cop, and a lot like Chuck Liddell in a way, people have figured him out. And it depends really what Cro Cop shows up to this fight. Frank Mir, I think Mir's chin's still suspect. I think after Carwin rattled his brains and Lesnar did, and he has been knocked out by strikers before, I could see Cro Cop possibly doing that. I could possibly see him doing that. Then again, Frank Mir has not looked too bad on his feet. He looked very good on his feet against Nogueira, despite what people say about Nogueira's physical condition. He looked good on his feet against Czech Congo. So if he has that kind of confidence, who knows what can happen? I'm sure we're going to be expecting lots of big mouth Frank Mir interviews as he always tends to do, which is always entertaining part of a Frank Mir fight when he starts to talk. Um, I think Mir might win by submission. There's no secret that Cro Cop's not a master on the ground, and that's Frank's strength. It's just, can Frank get him down from a takedown? Can he take him down and then sub him? Cro Cop, from what I remember, had pretty decent takedown defense, so obviously he's going to have to put that into practice. But from the information that's out there, Cro Cop has already been saying that he's taking this fight on 5 weeks' notice, and he himself is actually not 100%. So that's very interesting and already kind of gives me an idea of what might happen in the fight. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this chael sonnen news, the drug testing, the Matt Hughes story, and the Frank Mir thing. Let me know what you think. It's always good to chat with you. And let me know what you thought of the Ultimate Fighter 2. I didn't comment on that, but anyways, I better get going, and I shall see you all very, very soon.